welcome to Squad, your favorite source for everything esports and gaming. I'm Lisa Dwan, and if you have any questions about what's going down tonight, let me tell you. Marissa and Brody will be bringing you and bickering about the latest in Unmuted, and in Esports in 30, we got some of this. Ready? You like that? That was my three-pointer shot. We got some NBA2K action. But before we get to that, why don't we check out the latest game releases in the loadout?
The Nintendo Switch has a lot of games going for it, but it's lacking in the cute and cuddly animal department. That changes this week with Little Friends, Dogs and Cats, a new pet simulation game that aims to fulfill your Nintendog's itch on the Switch. As a pet owner, you get to choose between several different types of dogs and cats who you can adopt and bring home. From there, you can interact with them in a variety of ways, take them on walks, play fetch, dress them up in expensive and probably wasteful clothing, and of course, pet them to your heart's content. Each pet has different personality traits, including likes and dislikes, and the more you play with them, the more games and items you can unlock for purchase. Little Friends is a lighthearted game that's meant to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside with its cast of adorable pets. If you're not a cat or dog lover, you best look away, but if you're not, then what's the matter for you? But if you are, then there's nothing stopping you from getting close to these cute little guys on your Switch. PlayStation VR owners, this week is for you. Sony Interactive Entertainment's long-in-development first-person shooter Blood and Truth hits store shelves this week. In this first-person shooter, you play as former Special Forces soldier Ryan Marks, who must save his family from a gang of criminals in the London underworld. To do that, you have to engage in hectic gunfights, jump off buildings with parachutes, and get in car chases all throughout the city. In short, it's the video game equivalent of a blockbuster action movie from the 90s, except Will Smith isn't here to make quips the entire game. Seriously, just look at some of the action sequences. In VR, you can pick up guns and hide behind cover to shoot enemies, and there are a lot of interactable objects you can pick up and use in each level, which, speaking of, look gorgeous, and there's a nice variety to the level design to keep things engaging. This is a really cool VR game, so if you've got a PSVR, why not give it a shot? The creators of Don't Starve are jumping back into the survival genre with their newest game, Oxygen Not Included. This comedic game is set on a procedurally generated asteroid in space, which 3 colonists are stranded on with no memory of how they got there. To survive, you have to search for isolated pockets of oxygen to stay alive, and while gathering the resources, you need to build a functioning colony. That means having to manage each character's hunger, waste, and oxygen levels to keep them alive. To build a colony, you have to direct each colonist to complete certain tasks, ranging from mining resources to researching technology that will improve electrical conduits. Of course, being in space, that's easier said than done. For example, the game simulates different mixtures of gases, which can cause oxygen to be rapidly sucked out of the room upon the creation of a new shelter, for example. You also can't control each character, instead giving them a goal or instruction which they will try and complete independently. Still, considering that there are no monsters, at least we hope there aren't, Oxygen Not Included looks like a much less stressful and scary alternative to Don't Starve. Speaking of sci-fi survival games, Outer Wilds launches this week on the Epic Game Store and Xbox One. You play as an astronaut on a camping trip who has 20 minutes to explore the galaxy before the sun goes supernova and kills them. That honestly sucks, but the good news is that your job is to explore and learn as many details as you can, some of which can drastically change how later cycles play out. For example, you have to search a local observatory in order to find codes so you can launch your rocket. Once you find the code, that information will never change on subsequent playthroughs, meaning you can hop in and launch your rocket right from the start. There will be a ton of mysteries to solve, which include why the sun is going supernova, why you're even here, and what alien species constructed these worlds. You do have health oxygen meters, which are replenished by going back to your rocket, but otherwise, Outer Wilds is all about exploration. And even though you'll keep dying, it is very peaceful. So if you're looking for a unique game to play this week, Outer Wilds is definitely something you should check out. Welcome to a new week after gaming and esports, hot topics, hot tweets, and the spiciest memes. I'm Marissa Roberto.
And I am Brody Moore, and this is how the show's gonna work. We're here to present all the goodies we've gathered, in which we will discuss and likely argue. But luckily for all of us, there is a mute button that we can use once to mute the other.
Yeah, shout out to chat, because we like it when you call us out when we're wrong and praise us, obviously, when we're spitting truth. So let's get to it. It's time for me to kick Brody's butt in our first debate, which is about rumored subscriber-only streams on Twitch. Twitter account Streamer News reported that a stream on Twitch was testing a subscriber-only stream. While there was some confusion over whether this feature would be announced soon, it turns out that sub-only streams have existed in Twitch for years. It's just no one really used it except for the rare esports tournament. But the feature is still present, and it raises an important question. Brody, do you think that subscriber-only streams are a good thing for Twitch?
Okay, so this is fun because I have
No subscribers.
What?
You have no subscribers.
What? No, wow! I have a couple, okay? I have a few people that care about me, unlike you.
What? Oh, that's true. I use my Twitch Prime for this show now.
Yeah,
instead of you.
But whatever, I'll accept that one. Anyways, I actually, as a partnered channel, that subscribers didn't even realize that was a feature.
Yeah, that's
So if
fair.
that was there, this is news to me.
Yeah.
But actually, yes, this sounds super useful. Now, when you're reading it, I'm like, oh, I could use that for so many things because you always want to give back to the subscribers.
Yes.
Like they're supporting you, and for me especially, like I don't get to stream a lot doing all these events, so it's like I still have people that are supporting me though, and I want to give back to that. I used to do a movie night where we'd all watch a movie together, but even that's hard with the limited amount of time, right? So if I can dedicate, one of my streams that I'm doing to streamers or do something special, just even do like an hour-long one for them, and then you can clip something in that and be like, yo, look what you're missing out on because you're not a subscriber. You might get more subscribers. This actually seems like a super useful tool if utilized properly, actually.
If I sub to you, will you promise that you'll do a subscriber-only laundry stream?
100p, I promise you that I will deliver you on the most boring stream you've ever seen in your life.
I say Brody doing laundry. I do like this, of course, for the community, for the Twitch community. If it's a toggle, if you can turn it on whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
It can't be a dedicated
I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah, it can't be a dedicated subscriber only all the time. It should be, yes, just like in Patreon, how there's different subs, different tiers of subscribers that you give certain things to. If you're paying a certain amount of money, you're giving them $5 a month, and you've been a loyal subscriber for sure, then they should have specific subscriber-only streams. Absolutely, you're right. Subscribers should absolutely be rewarded. We should do something for our subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be up to the streamer then to make sure that people are, or Twitch even, to start promoting like, hey, when you sub to people, they may have, streams that are just for you guys. So as long as it's made clear to them, I think that's super useful. Yeah, I'll do this. You sub to me and we get a laundry stream.
You can do laundry,
How about that? All right, we've been talking about Apex Legends esports for a while now, but it's finally official. FACEIT will host the first official Apex tournament that is licensed by Respawn and EA. Called the FACEIT Pro Series Apex Legends, the tournament will see 16 North American teams compete for a $50,000 US prize pool. The rules have yet to be announced, but it will be played over 8 events. Now, Marissa, off the top, the first one we've seen that's officially partnered now with EA and Respawn. Is this enough? Should it be bigger, more prize pool? Is this the perfect kind of starting point? What do you think?
Oh, no, absolutely. 50K is a lot of cashish, man, especially for a freemium game that we just all started playing one afternoon when it launched. No, I think it's amazing. 50K over 8 tournaments, the span is. Like, yeah, absolutely. It takes a good amount of time for everybody to figure out their teams, everybody to figure out their play style, to figure out the meta of the actual esport itself, and just their competitors at large. I think it's fantastic as a starting point.
Okay, as a starting point, I don't know. I still, I was on that side, and then I started thinking about it.
What?
I don't know. I mean, consider that each of these teams, so that's a lot of teams, and each of the teams are going to have 3 players on it, right? That's splitting that money, and if that money's split across all these events, that's not livable.
It's only going to split that money across the top 8 teams.
Yeah, but that's still not a lot. That's not livable. That is not something that you can now dedicate your career to. This is just going to end up being streamers that play other games, maybe coming back. Shroud might come back for a bit, but they might leave again. Respawn are losing people to other games now. Again, like you still have and Apex is still good. You have your dedicated audience is still there, but you are bleeding people to other games now because they haven't done a lot. They were caught off guard by the surprise. You need to do something big with your esport to say, hey, we're actually serious about this. We want people playing this, and 50K just doesn't show that they're serious. You got EA money behind you. You can put a little more money into that.
Yeah, but we've seen this before with Battle Royales. Like, this has already happened before with Epic. Epic has been trashed numerous times because of the way they run their esports, even though the prize pools are astronomical.
Prize pool does not dictate it, but 50,000 is like on the there's a range you have to hit. 50,000 is not, I don't think, enough to say that we're serious about this.
Brody, this is the first time this has ever happened. 50K is actually an amazing jumping off point. I think it has to be that. Like, maybe these players will get org sponsoring them, and maybe they'll have their way paid for whatever tournament they end up going to in the future. This is how esports start. This is how it has to be very grassroots. It has to be like you pay your own way, because that's just the way this world works.
It's funny that I'm even arguing that 50K is low. I mean, like that is like monumental back in the day. But like you look at the esports now, though. Again, it's like that isn't a serious, like if you're playing an FGC game, like you got one-on-one and the prize is split for one person that's winning, 50K is a lot more reasonable.
Gosh, quiet now. Mortal Kombat creator Ed Boon has kickstarted a new debate in the FGC thanks to his tweet about Combo Breaker. Boon said that he would like to see losers brackets renamed to lower brackets, which is a more positive term for it. Fighting games have long referred to the bottom bracket as losers. Through esports like CSGO and Dota have always used the term lower. So some say that changing it would affect nothing, while others say that Boon is merely being pedantic. And I think Brody might still be muted, so I'm just gonna express my opinion. Oh, he's actually back.
But good. You can't stop these opinions, baby.
What?
Yo, who's being pedantic? You're worried No, Ed Boon is not being pedantic. The people complaining he's being pedantic are being pedantic. It's a word. Who cares if it changes? Why are you getting upset that they want to change it from losers to lowers?
Well, I think that's the definition of pedantic, like just making a problem over nothing.
That's
like
what I'm saying. They're calling him pedantic.
Yeah.
He's not. Well, I think it's better. I don't think... No, this is better to change it.
I don't know if you know what pedantic means.
Yes, I do. It means making a big deal over nothing. And the people in the FGC...
So then Ed Boon is being pedantic.
No, because he makes a valid point. The people complaining about him are making a big deal over nothing. Why not let him change it? Let him say, hey, yeah, we should change this. What's the problem with that? Why are people getting upset that he wants that changed? That's being pedantic.
Yes, because to argue their side of it, it has been this way from time. The FGC is very grassroots.
So?
It continues to be grassroots. They want to keep it that way. It's just something that they hold true.
And
That's
this
all
is why your esport is going to die. They're so against change and like making it big. Like, I come from grassroots games. Rocket League started grassroots. I came from Smash Brothers, which is pure grassroots. I love grassroots, but there is a mix you have to hit. And if changing the losers bracket to lower bracket is something you do, then do it. Rocket League, we all started with losers brackets because a lot of us came from those other games. Now we call them the lower brackets. It's just a nicer thing to do. Who cares? It's one word. FGC, give it up. It's a word. If you can stay grassroots by changing the losers bracket to lower bracket. Who gives a crap? And it makes the people in the lower bracket feel a little better.
But isn't there something to be said about the word losers? Like, it makes it more dramatic. It makes
it more
salty.
But you haven't lost yet.
No, but
you're still in the tournament.
But you lost one.
You can win.
So you're a loser at that point because you're not the winner in the winner's bracket.
You're in the lower bracket. You did not lose out of the tournament, therefore you are not a loser. You have to lose to lose. If you're still in the tournament, you have not lost. You can win the tournament through the lower bracket, which means you did not lose. An eagle-eyed internet sleuth has uncovered signs that Ubisoft may be launching its own subscription service. An image was briefly displayed on the Ubisoft store that advertised a Ubisoft Pass. This is speculated to be a subscription similar to EA Access and Xbox Game Pass that would offer access to most of Ubisoft's titles for a monthly fee. Now, Marissa, my wallet is hurting. And if this turns out to be true, I'm starting to think that maybe we have too many subscription services.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
He's like, yeah.
It's becoming, my email inbox is becoming just inundated with, oh, your subscription is up, time to renew. And it just does it automatically, and then I'm just wondering why I have no money in my accounts. I don't like this because I feel like Ubisoft is a publisher, okay? So alongside EA, I don't like the same deal. I don't like these subscription services for them because if we're already paying subscription services on the big platforms, if we're paying for it on Sony, if we're paying for it on Microsoft, then I want those games to become available to me on those devices. I feel like that money can be split and given to the developers. If I'm paying a subscription service to Microsoft, I want that money that I'm giving Microsoft to go then a little bit to the publisher or to the game developers that made the game that I'm enjoying on that subscription service on that platform. You feel?
I just, it's so bad because you have these companies that are, now they're charging you a subscription service to use their platform. Then you're buying the game.
You don't have to get it. This is not
No, that's
necessary.
true. I guess maybe the games are cheaper or whatever. I don't know, but it's like, and then in the game though, this is the worst problem. In the game, they're even charging you more. Like they're selling you incomplete games after you're paying already for a service to get the game in the first place.
I believe he's just trying to throw some salt on EA right now.
I'm throwing salt on everyone, really. Like, a lot of companies are starting to ship unfinished games and selling you the rest of it later. And that's becoming a problem. If I'm already paying you a subscription service showing that I am loyal to your service and your games, why are you not giving me complete games? Why are you no give?
Well, most of them are complete. That's not, I feel like that's a weak argument.
I think, here's the thing, this comes down to what's a complete game. A complete game is if you've developed everything, say everything you've worked on for the past however many years, and you only ship part of it, that is an incomplete game. Knowing that you're going to sell me the rest of it later, put it in the game, you've already made it. Now, if you develop something later.
So you're arguing that DLC is nothing then? Like, you should not have DLC
developed later to make the game better throughout the years, that's fine, but you already have it done, ship it with it. That's just greed.
All right, this went nowhere. It's time to check in with streamers and Clip It. Our first clip comes from Jewel on Twitch. You remember her, the one with the shy boyfriend. This time her boyfriend reacts to a fan paying for photos of Jewel's feet.
You think I would let a weirdo get away with that? That is a committing crime to my fellow Twitch community. All right? I I'm putting you out there, buddy. You paid 15,000 bits for some fees. Go on Google. Just Google feet.
Okay, so obviously he makes an excellent point there in his shrinking. You can just Google it. Like you want feet, literally Google feet
but
right
they're not
now.
her
Go ahead.
feet though. Really?
Yeah, but you could just pretend. How do you know that she's not?
No, that's really it.
Literally, if somebody did that and they said to pay me money for my feet, I would just Google like cute feet, and I would say, I'm like, here you go.
Honestly,
Here are my feet.
why not? Yo, as a boyfriend, I'd be like, hell yeah, that's like free lunch for me now. Like,
Okay, but
she
then
can take me out to dinner.
Is there a line though? Because that's a slippery slope. You
I guess.
feet,
Well, that would be up to the
and then all of a
relation.
sudden, then it goes to like underwear. Like
That would be up to the relationship. That would be up to them to decide their
Calf.
boundaries. Maybe they don't have boundaries, and he's like, yeah, keep doing whatever you got to do. We got bank now. Like that's up to them though. But like feet, like for real, like. Go online and find your own feet. Why do you need her feet?
It's just so gross. Like why? First of all,
I don't like feet. I hate feet.
Freaking gross.
Teach
Feet
their
are
own.
disgusting.
Teach
like
their
if
own.
you if you like feet, like whatever, man. That's pretty like. I'm gonna judge you because I feel like that's pretty messed up. Don't ask me for photos of my feet. I feel whenever I posted like literally me just like walking, if I was in the sand somewhere and I was walking and I like to show the beach and then go up to the water, yeah, people screenshotted that I can't say it. They screenshotted it and then I could see it on Snapchat. The people that screenshotted my feet, like don't screenshot my feet, you sickies. Like get a life. Oh my God. Literally Google it and don't add that garbage to your
Marissa,
Like what's wrong
Marissa,
with you?
I have a really good idea for a stream for you.
What?
Foot stream.
A foot stream.
Just foot. You're gonna get so many subscribers.
Ugh.
Subscriber only.
Subscriber only foot stream.
Subscriber only foot stream coming up from Marissa right after my laundry stream.
I just used Brody's feet.
No, our next clip comes from Stay Safe TV, who wants to give McConnell Rhett credit for being a real bro.
McConnell used to flip on his stream for 30 minutes for an hour before I would go live. He would farm up a couple hundred viewers, 700, 800 viewers. And the second I went live, he would host me. Leech? No, the second I went live, he would host me. He didn't even want to stream. He didn't even give a fuck about his stream. He was just farming viewers to host into me. That's some real, that's anti-Leech. That's some real bro shit. That's some real bro shit. And at this point, I was super small. Like, he didn't get anything from helping me at all. I was like a nobody, right? Like, you never, man, like, you never forget the people that were there for you when you're not really in, like, a good spot, right?
Yeah,
Yo,
I love
McConnell
that.
Rhett.
Yeah.
If you want, like, my lunch today, you can have it. You just host my stream.
No, seriously, like
No, that is ballin'. That
but
is
even
sick.
like I'm just shout out to people in chat too, like Tesla, like how sweet are you to come and raid our chat too with like people watching her stream? That is like the sweetest thing ever, honestly. Like so there's something to be said about paying it forward. There's something to be said about, you know, just being kind without asking anything in return. Like it does make you feel good for sure as a person, but it also is just, I know you don't believe in karma. I know Tesla doesn't really either, but I do believe that that's a real thing. Like when you're good to people around you, like the universe does provide you with some kind of love in some way, like the little things that happen in your life. I feel like you are rewarded.
I was kind to a lot of people in my life, and I still ended up here on the show with you.
And this is the greatest moment of your life right now.
Clearly.
Yes.
We've already used this.
All right.
I can't mute you.
It truly is the best time of day where we scroll the Twitters to bring you all the things the pros bless us with on their timeline. It's the best when they give the naysayers the old I told you so. And League of Legends Pro Perks is my new favorite person. He tweets, my mom gave birth to me when she was 40. Doctor told her there is a high chance her kid was gonna be born with some sort of disability and that she should abort. But he forgot to mention one thing, that he was gonna be an MSI champion. Ooh.
How many trolls were in that saying, oh, she should have because she turned out to be a gamer?
There was actually a couple people in
Yeah,
chat
right.
saying that.
Like, I knew
it. Somebody said, well, she should have because her son plays League of Legends. Just like stuff like that. But isn't the best life lived? Like the life is best lived. The best revenge is a life lived, right? Life well lived. That's a saying.
Who are you
That's
getting
the
revenge
saying.
against it?
The doctor.
Oh.
Who told her to abort?
Well, we don't know I mean, like, you know, maybe there were, because at that age it is hard to have. She could have been not okay afterwards, right? So
Okay,
it's like
yeah,
there were
past
probably
30
reasons doctor said it that were not malicious.
No,
They're probably
but
not
past,
like, yeah, just
past
screw your
35,
baby.
for sure. Past 35, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy.
It's tougher.
Right, exactly. So it's harder for the woman to recover as well.
Uh-huh.
But like, that's still like you don't actually know. You don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of people in chat too underneath that saying this is probably an iffy topic. You probably shouldn't tweet something like this because of everything happening in the States right now with abortion as well. He's like, this is me. This is just honest.
No,
and
there's nothing wrong with putting
this is what
thoughts
it
out there.
is.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
exactly.
it. No, it's good. And congratulations on the MSI.
That's right.
All right, now comes a tale from a man who is pale. Why'd you do this to me? A man with great lore and is never a bore. Sir Action Slack tweets, true pub story today. I was randomly paired with a lad and he was so bad. Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I said to myself, this is the second stupidest person I have ever played with because one man really stood out to me. Then I went and looked up the stupidest man and what you know is actually the same dude.
Yeah.
Yo, that's like next level when you're like, if I look up stupid, it'll picture of you next to it.
Yeah.
That was next level.
That was like, that kind of made me miss the 140 characters though on
No,
Twitter.
I like that. We would have had that story.
No, it's true. I do love Sir Action Slacks. Obviously, I'm just pouring a little bit of salt. Keep them coming, baby. Twitch streamer Xanos has some words for you people after a disgusting display at Combo Breaker. She says, clean the F up after yourselves, you're effing adults. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bertie Moore, this is actually you? Like she's speaking to you.
No,
this
actually.
Is the trail
Okay, you know
leave
what? I
behind
want to lay down the
yourself.
lie. You're trying
let's go.
I will
Let's hear
accept
it.
some shade if the shade is true.
No, you won't.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
This is lies.
Hey, you remember the first time we met?
No.
You know, at that gnarly event. You know.
Okay.
And how afterwards all the Rocket League casters helped pack up a lot of the chairs. Oh
Okay.
yeah, we're real messy people.
What are you talking about? That
You
has
chirping me saying that I'm leaving messes everywhere?
Okay,
I
first
clean
of all,
up,
that
bro.
was literally like 3 years ago. Also, it wasn't about the chairs. It was about all the dirt and garbage
Yes.
underneath the chairs. Okay, so.
And do I see garbage here?
You haven't been here for like a freaking week, so yeah, obviously there's no garbage there. It's been cleaned up for you. This is all you do. You literally leave your cups everywhere.
Okay, Jordan's like, it was me.
Thank you, Jordan.
I cleaned it up.
Fully cleaned up for you because another broadcast that likes to use this area too. Like, dude, you have to clean up after yourself. You're
I
a freaking
do.
adult.
I just don't bring my mess in here, so
Oh
I
my
don't
god!
have mess to
And then
clean up
this gets me
anymore.
on a whole other tangent of
Oh,
people
no.
that are
Why is it
people
working?
not even
Help,
you,
please.
Bertie.
Help.
No, I'm turning in. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
we're
put it
moving
on
on.
you.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna put it on to you. I just do not want people like if you litter, seriously, you are a piece of S.
Oh,
like,
amen.
Full on POS.
Amen.
Yesterday, this dude driving by literally just like cracked his window open, threw out his lid from his drink outside of his car, landed on the pavement.
You should
like, what
run
do
into him.
Seriously, like, what do you do in a situation like that? Like, how much of an a-hole are you to just litter? Hold onto your garbage and put it in the friggin' garbage can. That's why we have them. My God.
Do what you want at your own house, but we share the outside.
Seriously.
Don't litter. I agree with that. Let's move on, though, because it is time to get to some crowd controlled. This is where we showcase some of the great gaming stuff the community has been making and some stuff that we probably should have just left in the basement. For my first post, I thought I'd bring along something that Marissa would enjoy. Seinfeld reenacts all of our reactions as we play Mario Kart. You always see the blue shell coming through. And you can hear the music at the end play too. Just the doop doop. The second place though, that's so real. Yes,
Wonderful.
yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
wonderful. From an excellent episode of Seinfeld, the Merv Griffin show, where Kramer finds the set
I
in the
knew I
dumpster.
would be in for some
and then-
trivia.
And then brings it out. Like, it smells like garbage. Like, yeah. I love that so much. That's when the hawk attacks the squirrel. In the episode, if you guys know. Shout out to the Seinfeld fans in chat. Listen, audio is important for gamers, and clear communication means a lot when playing with teammates. Sennheiser knows this and tries to bring your teammates as close as possible.
Daps, where are you, man? I'm slumping real hard right now. I need you to call the shots for me.
I've got my Sennheisers, dude. It'll be like I'm in the room.
Like you're in the room.
Let's fucking go, buddy.
That's really good, man. That's really good.
Okay, but like, is that cheating? Is that cheating?
Yeah,
for Daps
right?
to,
You
like,
have 4 hands on the keyboard. What? That probably would be cheating, to be honest. But
It was first cringe though. It was first a cringy thing.
No, that was
Because Tarek's
amazing.
like,
What are you,
he's not the best actor. It was just one of those things like, where is this gonna go? Where is this going? And then it goes to the best place possible. This is not sponsored by Sennheiser in any way, but like, my goodness, good job.
I think that was the best thing, is that it was like, yeah, it was this bad acting. We've seen commercials with pro players and before, and it's like, no, stop this, please.
Yeah.
But they took this to the next level. That was key. That was, props to Beyond the Summit. That was key, for sure.
It was nice.
Anyways, for my last post, I had to set things straight here. Everyone is hating on me for maining Jigglypuff and Smash Brothers, but Introspective's got my back.
Continuing the list, we have Jigglypuff. And was there ever any doubt that the pink pop star would make this list? Absolutely not. Jigglypuff's hair is hot as f***. There's no denying that. Her big moon-like eyes draw you in, and her perfectly round figure seals the deal. Just think about it. This pink balloon floats up to you with this look and says, "Have me?" What are you gonna do? Exactly. She may look innocent, but Jigglypuff is actually a huge
So wait a minute, I'm confused. You're saying you main Jigglypuff because she's hot? Because she's sexy?
That's what I was hoping you would get out of this.
What?
I'm kidding. Yo, fun fact though about the hair.
Yeah.
If this is not why I play her, but it adds to. In Melee, if you grab onto the edge on the right side of a stage and you pause it and turn the camera right, her hair actually looks a little phallic. And then when you jump, it kind of just flops on top of her head.
Okay.
And it's really funny, and my 12-year-old is very, very enthused.
Oh my God, you're so immature. I still don't get choosing Jiggly over Kirby though. Like, this is
Because Kirby is trash, dear.
No, he's not.
All you do is press down B.
Down B.
Down B is not useful.
It is for me. How
Do
come I
you
keep
win?
winning? Yes, I do.
Oh yeah?
I do it with
Okay,
down
then
B.
let's play.
Okay, we
and
will.
just down B and see how it works for you.
Challenge accepted, friend. Listen, that's it from you. Remember, you can always hit us up on our socials just to say hi or send us some stuff to react to. Someone type in exclamation mark socials right now in chat, and we'll see you next time.
Said hi this morning.
Do we believe that Robin is a carpenter?
No, she is a carpenter.
I don't believe it.
No, she's the carpenter.
It's not that kind of game.
It's not that kind of game. She is the carpenter.
You've been playing too many horror movies.
Yeah. She's up to something. Look at her beady
Look,
eyes.
she's not an elf, okay? She's not gonna
I don't
murder.
trust that her hair matches her outfit.
You guys, they were playing Stardew Valley in the green room. Marissa finally did it. She converted all of us to the Valley. Now, if you missed any of the sweet action from the green room, you can catch it all on Twitch. And while you're there, why don't you press that subscribe button to get exclusive emotes? All right, just in a bit, Marissa and Brody will be calling up Jeff Eisenband to get you caught up on the NBA2K League. But first, it's my turn to get you caught up on the latest news. Former SK Telecom T1 jungler Blank has found a new team to call home, and all it took was a quick trip across the Sea of Japan. Blank has joined the LJL Sengoku Gaming, where he will serve as its starting jungler for the upcoming summer split. Sengoku is mostly composed of Japanese players, but its starting AD carry, Odu-gi, is also Korean. Blank was a member of SKT's legendary roster from 2015 to 2018, during which he won a world championship, back-to-back midseason invitationals, and several LCK splits. He left the team at the end of 2018 after a poor season by SKT standards, and went quiet for several months before he joined Sengoku. Considering he's a veteran with tons of international experience backing him up, Sengoku should be a team others should be afraid of when the summer split begins on June 15th. In a surprising move, G2 Esports has replaced its longtime member Jonas with Finnish player Uno. Jonas was a member of G2 since the org picked up the roster of Penta Sports last year, in which he joined in 2016. Meanwhile, Uno has played for ENCE Esports and the Stream Esport. Both teams have had decent results, but pale in comparison to G2's legacy. With Jonas on the roster, G2 has won multiple tournaments, including the 6 Major Paris, Pro League Season 8, and 6 Invitational 2019. Rogue's LEC team is continuing to make big changes to its roster, this time by promoting Academy Jungler Inspired to its starting lineup. The move comes just a few days after Rogue promoted its Academy top laner Finn to the main roster as well. All told, 3 of Rogue's starting players were promoted from its Academy division this offseason. Rogue's Academy team won Ultra Liga Season 1 with ease, though they did fall out of the 2019 European Masters in the group stage. Let's hope these adjustments are enough to dig Rogue out of the dumpster when the LEC summer split begins on June 7th.
Against Lottie, still has that takeover. Mo on a wrap! Dagger! Currently undefeated. That's in jeopardy right now. Up ahead to Mr. Styles for three. Warriors Gaming Squad is your Season 2 turn champions.
What's going on, everyone? Today on Esports in 30, we be ballin', because, well, that makes sense, right? Every day is a special episode. Now, normally on Tuesday, we have Ron and AJ here to talk Overwatch, but since the OWL is on a little break, we wanted to give them a well-deserved week off. We so nice over here. Plus, we're huge fans of our Toronto teams. I am anyways. And our Toronto Raptors made the NBA Finals, so we figured why not take this day to talk about the NBA2K League instead. This is related.
I don't know. I'm definitely going to be cheering for the Golden State Warriors.
Why?
So Golden State Warriors, thank Marissa for an extra sale on a jersey that I'm going to wear here just to
I don't understand.
be mean to her.
I don't get it. Why?
Because I don't like you.
That doesn't make any sense. Oh my god, that is so annoying. That just we're done with unmuted, so like I can't even mute you right now. We're just so irritating. Oh my god, you know what? Just whatever. Now the NBA2K League is already halfway through its season, so we have a ton to catch up on. Thankfully, we not only have Jeff Eisenband calling in to break it all down, we have these highlights to get you hyped.
Clock running down, under 5 now. Rooks at the free throw line to win it! Pick it up from the field. We're talking about the Wizards, and there's a turnover. Up ahead, Reese the God. He'll take off and dunk all over Worthington Colt III.
Virtual refs are gonna have a talk.
It is what it is. The ball don't lie.
What is this?
Don't foul him. We got a tie ball game. Gives over to Shockey. You got to get into somebody that can shoot Shockey. Fade away. Oh my goodness. That might have been the dagger. Shockey again. If he hits this, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm dead. 2. Walnut with the board. He's got his badge going. Says, get off of me! Gets it into Radiant. 2 to shoot now. They get it to Nudini! Oh! Rucks take it away. PP balling on the break. Mo lobs it up for Pete! 7 seconds to go. Compete right to the rack with a jam. Working against Lottie. Still has that takeover. Mo on a wrap. Dagger, Dirk. Maddie. And 1? Are you kidding me? 2-point game. Compete. Oh, what a find a man on a mission. The no-look dish.
It's just up to Bear to make the read and get the pass off the play.
JoJo takes his cookies and powers it down. They give it to Plondo. Back to Rooks for 3 for the tie. He got it! And Rooks has tied the record for 3-pointers in a game. 5 seconds now. 4, 3, seam. Isolate. Lobs it up for the win. Cole with an alley-oop. Oh my. Out of the way, Styles. Dimes running down. Gives it to PP Ballin for the win. Bucks currently undefeated. That's in jeopardy right now. Up ahead to Mr. Styles for 3. Warriors Gaming Squad is your Season 2 turn champions.
The Warriors Gaming Squad won the turn, and Mavs Gaming sits atop the table, but there's so much more NBA 2K to be played before playoff time, and the door is still wide open to so many teams. Oh, now joining us to bring us up to speed with where the league is at. Welcome to the show, NBA 2K League insider Jeff Eisenband. How are you?
I'm great. We're halfway through the season, so we got a lot to talk about here.
Well, on the season then, just for those that are unfamiliar with the NBA 2K League and just the structure overall, can you give us just a quick rundown of what it's all about and how it works?
Yeah, so the league currently is in season 2. It's 21 teams with 17 in season 1. Runs very similar to the NBA in itself in that there's a regular season and a playoffs. There are also 3 other tournaments along with the playoffs, 1 before the season even starts and then 2 during the season. Those add on to tiebreakers for the playoffs. All 21 teams they're owned by NBA franchises. They train, they practice, they live in their home cities. Regular season competition is in New York City. We've already had a tournament in Las Vegas, and we will have another tournament at a TBD location.
TBD that I'm sure Jeff knows about but can't share.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it.
A little winky wink. Listen, they say any press is good press, but perhaps the biggest headline that spread around the socials about the 2K League was the post-game altercation between the Hawks and Celtics. A lot of esports like the FGC or Gears of War are known for this trash talk and intense rivalries, and the NBA 2K League is as well, but how can the NBA 2K League keep that aspect of its identity while working to prevent altercations like this from happening again?
Yeah, it was an unfortunate situation. You get into the heat of the moment. There's a lot of competition in there. You're sitting right across from, the people that you're playing against. The NBA has made that part of the structure is having the 2 teams sit across from each other and be able to jaw at each other in a similar way to the actual NBA. And it was just a little bit of a heat of the moment sort of thing. It was one of the players, actually 2 of the players were suspended. There were fines handed out. And I think the league has gotten past it, but you want that aspect of competition. You want the color of guys having fun with each other and going after each other, and the mental aspect of the competition. It just needs to, when the game is over, that's it.
Right.
You move on.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what's so great about even Gears 2. Like, it's all in game. It all happens in game. The second it's over, they all shake hands. It's all love.
Hey, that's how it was for us in hockey
chainsaws.
too.
No chainsaws.
Yeah. It's whatever happens on the field happens on the field. Outside that, you go and grab a drink together, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to talk about the system before getting into the actual matches. So the way it works is you could protect 2 players coming off the offseason, and then the rest were all drafted. Well, what are the positives and negatives of a system like this, where the majority of a team changes season to season?
Yeah, I mean, you had 17 teams in season 1, 6 players per team. So you're protecting 2 players, which essentially means that when the expansion draft happened, which happened before the regular draft, you could take each team could take 2. Each of the 4 expansion teams got to draft 2 players from season 1 right away. You're essentially starting with the 35th best player. It was probably a little better considering some teams had 3 top players. You could argue it was more like the 28th best player or so. So, it's about creating a level of competition that is as equal as possible. You don't want these expansion teams coming in and being way, way behind the 8 ball. So, you had, and listen, the expansion teams a couple of them are good this year. Nets and Hawks, 2 of them are in the thick of the playoffs race. The Timberwolves have done well in actual tournaments, but you don't want to create a situation where it's lopsided, where they're either becoming the best team or they're trailing from behind. And you don't. I think the Vegas Golden Knights have proved to everyone you have to be careful with the way an expansion draft is created.
Absolutely. Love that comparison. So in your mind then, which teams were most affected by the redraft in both?
Oh man, I mean there were a couple of teams I guess you could say negatively affected. I don't it's a good point, because the teams that you would think would have really taken a hit didn't take. For example, the Blazers lost Dafoe Schatz, who was one of their best players, who was the first pick in the expansion draft. I'd say the Celtics were hurt by losing a player like Arsenal X, who I believe was actually the last pick of the expansion draft, but just a guy who proved that he could have been used. And the Knicks, listen, the defending champion Knicks had a very tough decision. They had to protect 2 players. They had a deep team. They did not protect Nate Call, who was the NBA 2K League Finals MVP. He was picked immediately by Nets GC, and they've done a great job this year. And although he is not a crazy scorer, he's a top-level defender. He's a big reason, especially as a leader, why that team is in the playoff race right now. And frankly, the Knicks are not.
I mean, in real life and in the game.
All right, let's talk about the Mavs then, because actually they actually are setting a record right now, 9 wins in a row, and that's the most in 2K history. What's helped the Mavs remain undefeated so far?
Well, so the Mavs did, the Mavs, everyone looked at the Mavs this offseason and thought, what are they doing? They were the only team that, after protecting 2 players, they traded another player, and then there was another round of protections. The only player the Mavs kept from season 1 to season 2 was Dimes, who was the first overall pick in season 1, kind of dubbed the LeBron James of NBA 2K before that draft. And a lot of people, they traded Dayfry, who was a top player, was their second-round pick, but a lot of people argued that he was the better player in season 1 anyway. They broke down the entire roster. They had 2 first-round picks. They made those picks. They picked PP Ballin and Mo, who have been 2 incredible players for them this year. They filled really the gaps they needed to. They drafted Sherm, a top-level defender, and then got a couple guys in Rux and Grant, who were season 1 players who weren't protected by their initial teams. So they had that veteran presence, and they didn't play so well in the first tournament, but they just turned it on after that in the regular season. I think it's that balance. For people that know basketball, Mavs Gaming did a great job getting a point guard who could distribute, a small forward who could score, and a center who could score and rebound. And basically that's the formula to be successful in NBA 2K.
We need to talk about the consistency here of Blazers 5, 76ers, GC, both top teams from season 1. Blazers 5, only 1 loss, 76ers 1 tip-off. So how do you explain the consistency of these 2 teams in light of the redraft?
Well, I think incredibly well-run franchises, and both lost players in Blazer 5 losing Dat Boy Shots and 76ers losing iFeast, who went to T-Wolves Gaming. And it's a matter of, the Blazer 5 had 2 MVP finalists in season 1, one Wild Walnut and Mom That Man. One Wild Walnut won last year. Mom That Man is probably going to win MVP this year. If not, Radiant on the 76ers will probably win. These are just some of the top players in the world who you're starting with. And then just like I said, well-run organizations. Jeff Terrell is the coach at the 76ers, runs an incredibly tight ship there. They practice hard. They practice right. They're prepped better than any team, I think, in the league. So they come in and they know their opponents so incredibly well, and they adjust in-game like no other team. The Blazers, it's just pure. I think there's some pure talent there with having 2 of the best players, one Wild Walnut and Mom That Man, paired together. It really doesn't matter how you add. They would tell you they really lost something with shots, and they've only lost 1 regular season game this year. They'd probably tell you they'd be 9-0. And I think there's a fear aspect. Teams go into, they know how successful those 2 teams have been in 2 seasons. Everyone goes into that game thinking they'll lose, whether they say it or not. So those are 2 difficult teams to play.
Well, let's talk about teams that didn't fare too well, obviously, from redraft here, because the defending champs are near last. Knicks are sitting near the bottom, and similar to last year, but without that bracket spark. Do you see this Knicks team as having that same potential we saw last season, or did this redraft really hurt them?
The redraft hurt them in terms of losing Nate Call. They felt like they picked up a guy in Original Malik who could, at least add to that starting 5, and they got a guy in Haza Hurst also who had played for the Mavs last year, and he's done a pretty good job filling in for the Knicks. They've lost a couple of close games. They're 1-6. You could tell me they could easily be 3-4 or 4-3 right in it. The problem is there's only 16 games, so when you're 1-6 through 7 games, there's not a lot of time. I think that the 8th seed in this playoffs is going to be 10-6. So you're asking this team to run the table or do exactly what they did last year and win the ticket. And I'm not going to say they're out of it. The way that we've seen with, I think Goofy's one of the best players in the league. He's their center. And then you're adding in a guy like I'm Adam the First and Interest to Goat, guys who've shown that they can just get hot like they did last year. And I think Adam's coming on a little bit. I definitely think there was an aspect of they won. They were basking in their glory a little bit. Could they have practiced a little more? Maybe there were some teams that really put in that off-season work, but you can't count them out from making a run, especially, how video games work. You play with your friends, you play with whoever, you get hot, and it's like 5, wins are reeled off so fast, and the next thing you know, they're going to the playoffs again. So pay attention, because it could happen.
I know we touched on the expansion teams briefly here, but I do want to get a little deeper into that because there's a big gap between them. The Hawks, Nets are top 10, T-Wolves, Lakers toward the bottom here. So what explains the gap between the top expansion teams and the bottom one?
I think you're just talking about the different ways these 2 rosters were constructed. the Nets did. OG King Kurt went after high character guys and created a deep lineup. I didn't think their skill was there at the beginning of the season. They've proven me wrong with their depth, I think, this year. Guys like Wavy and Lav were two of their picks who have really come through big for them. With the Hawks, they drafted Dapoy Shots and Arsenal right off the bat. Got a player like Brando in the actual entry-level draft, and that's a big three right there who have jumped right into its competitiveness. But then you're looking at these teams at the bottom that have had roster issues. The Lakers made a trade in the offseason. They traded the 10th overall pick to the Warriors for Vert. They got a guy who had proven himself in season 1, but what they didn't get is CB13, who's been an outstanding point guard for the Warriors this year, a big part of the reason they won the turn. And then the T-Wolves, who got off to a great start in the first tournament of the season, the tip-off, had certain problems, internal problems with Hood, who was a player that they traded their expansion draft pick, O'Larry, to the Cavs for Hood. It didn't work out. They traded him about 2 weeks ago, so they had to deal with their own issues. That team still has potential. They have a player in Bear to Beast who's a top, if there was an all-star game, an all-star talent guy, but they just haven't figured it out. Lost a couple, games that you can't blow if you want to be in the playoff race.
Right.
Now, for me, the redraft system seems like it's there to create balance over a few seasons, as it goes on. But obviously, if you add new teams, they're in for the first season. So what lessons can future teams learn coming into the league to learn from the success and failures of these expansion teams and just make sure they get it right from the beginning?
Yeah, I think that teams also have to realize there was a lot of reliance, not just expansion teams, but especially teams that were in the playoffs last year that basically broke down their whole teams thinking that they could build themselves up in the entry draft, not even necessarily the expansion draft, but in the new player or unprotected player draft. And a lot of teams didn't find the talent that they thought was there. So, it's always like the grass is greener. There's a lot of teams that thought, the best players in the world weren't necessarily in the league last year because of the combine process, the tryout process. It turned out most of the top players in the world were in the draft and were in the league in season 1. You've added a few high-level talents, but you've struggled a little bit. The other thing is the game changes over time. A lot of shooting guards in season 1 used the pure sharp archetype, which was a very shooting-based offensive archetype. This year, it's been a lot of the pure lock, which is a very defensive-based archetype. So you don't even know if you're drafting a defender or a shooter sometimes, and you just have to draft guys who have versatility.
Right, that makes sense. I want to talk about the turn here because GSW win the turn, defeated Heat, Mavs, Jazz, and 76ers. So walk us through the performance of the Warriors gaming squad en route to winning the turn.
Almost contradictory to what I just said, part of what the way the Warriors constructed their team, they were terrible last year, bottom of the league. They kept two guys in Type and Be Smooth who had really shown potential. They traded Vert to get those early picks at 2 and 10. They drafted Gradient and CB13. They drafted Jin, a player who had been with the Wizards later on, and of course Chiquita, the first woman player in the NBA2K league. They're almost too deep. They're that good. They brought in a coach in Tommy I'm going to botch his name, but Obnador, who came in.
We probably can do better.
He'll tell me in person, but they've done an incredible job of creating this roster from the bottom up and creating a roster that a lot of people said at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of potential for this team. I think that the young guys needed to gel a little bit. Those rookies, they're 19 years old the first few weeks, and all of a sudden they came to the turn. And the turn, by the way, for those who don't know, in the NBA 2K League, you choose for each position, you choose between 5 archetypes what you want to use. And part of the way the turn worked was that the teams had the ability, where every team would ban an archetype before the game for both teams. So when you'd play an actual game, 2 of the archetypes would be banned. So certain teams adjusted and certain teams didn't. Because the Warriors had so much depth, that's where I think they were able to succeed, because you couldn't just ban one player and feel like you're taking them away. They would just go on to the next guy. So it was an incredibly difficult, situation to defend, and that's what won the Warriors. And they say they've gotten better because they learned they could play on other archetypes because they were forced to do so. So now you've got a team that can throw anything out at you. There's a lot of strategy involved because you don't know the archetypes until the tip-off.
Yeah, you actually mentioned Chiquita. She's making headlines right now. I just wanted you to maybe just talk about her impact on the NBA2K league right now and what it means just in the greater landscape of everything. I think one of the coolest things about esports is that we do have more of a co-ed approach to it as opposed to traditional sports.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, you know, part of the beautiful thing about esports is that the barrier for entry is equal for everyone. All you have to do is have the console system, and you know, I think that there are obvious numbers that less women play NBA 2K in most video games than men, but Chiquita has done an amazing job navigating this world. Especially last year, there was the NBA 2K League invited 4 women to come to a showcase that was kind of a celebrity game, and she was one of the 4, and she impressed a lot of people. She came out on that stage where the real players play, and she impressed a lot of people, and I think that helped her profile. She kept playing on the Pro-Am scene, got through the combine, and when she got drafted, there were a lot of people that said, oh, the Warriors are just doing this for the image. You know, they drafted her in the 4th round of 4 rounds. She'll sit on the bench. They'll parade her around. And now she's played 3 games. She's proven that she has the ability to be here. And I think that, you know, she's getting interviewed everywhere she goes. But she's carried herself. You know, she keeps her energy up. I know that all she really wants to do is play, but she recognizes just how big she is for people out there, and for just proving to people it's such an ignorant, you know, thought process to think that women can't compete in elite level esports. It's the same game for everyone.
That's the cool thing about esports. You prove yourself, right?
That, and you see when she shows up, whether we were in Vegas or, you know, at the studio in New York, people come and they see her and they're inspired. So it's awesome.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about this recently as well, just on Twitter, as there always is with women competing in different leagues, of course. But a lot of the talk kind of started to center around the fact that, like, women can actually play. They can, and then once they get to this field, they can. But the second they are able to join a team of all males, the men don't seem to accept them as much as maybe they should, because they liked having a bro squad. They like just being together with the boys, and it's hard to include a woman into that. Like, have you seen any of that with her team at all? Do you feel like everyone seems to be getting along? Because it is also hard seeing a woman getting all this attention too when everyone else is playing just as good, if not better than her.
I think the Warriors, and like I said, Coach Tommy and Rustin, who's the GM there, have done an incredible job. Just you know, they bought in to something that other teams didn't. And I think we know how successful the Golden State Warriors organization is on the NBA side. This is not a slacker organization. This is not just someone that drafted, you know, Chiquita and said, all right, guys, everyone get along. It was, you know, we're doing this. Here's what we're doing. You know, we are going to carry ourselves like this, and we're going to win a championship this year. And I think that they've done, you know, they have 2 of the, I don't know if more mature is the way to put it, but they're 2 leaders, and the guys they protected, Type and Beast Move, carry themselves as 2 of the bigger guys in the NBA 2K League. And, you know, there's that sense of, like I said, you can tell some of these teams run a tight ship, and the Warriors run a tight ship. If they have any problems, nothing's getting out there, and I don't think they do. When they win the turn and they win $90,000 and stuff like that, they're very happy right now. But I think it starts with the NBA 2K League. 2 things. One, these teams have coaching staffs, and so you know, the Warriors coaching staff in particular comes from the Warriors organization. Coach Tommy is works for the G League team, so he crosses over and he deals with high-level athletes on a common basis. And then you're just, you know, you're just dealing with guys that a team that handles themselves appropriate, knows what they're doing, knows what the goal is. And I just don't think you see those problems right now.
No, I mean,
and in basketball, I would just add in basketball that, you know, growing up, a lot of these kids played basketball, and you're used to playing with the women's team. You know, if you play boys high school basketball, especially in the U.S., the girls' team is practicing right next to you, and you have that relationship with them.
For sure. And, like, obviously all of this really comes down to maturity, and you're right. Like, because they have those 2 players that are great staples in the community, and they are more mature, they have a good head on their shoulders, I feel like it's easier to welcome a woman into the squad with that mentality.
All right, let's talk about just the fact that you guys are moving around now. You know, the tournament was played in Vegas. Take it outside the studio. How did it feel to take the NBA 2K League on the road?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, first of all, from the players themselves internally, they had, huge eyes. Seeing Vegas, seeing HyperX Esports Arena in Vegas, seeing the West Coast teams were especially happy that they didn't have to fly to New York. They had to fly to Vegas. But it was just it was an eye-opening experience, I think, for the league and everyone around it to see that there are these other places. Now I think it's so easy to you just got to bring some of your game, but the technology, a lot of the production staff is just there and waiting. And Esports Arena in itself has that extra sort of, there's no bar and restaurant at the NBA 2K League in New York, the studio in New York. There's the stadium seating, the players are looking directly at the crowd was a little different than looking at each other. The idea of, I think that there was a professional aspect of, for the NBA 2K League studio in New York, it almost feels like home for these guys. This felt like, it's weird saying it as a road trip because basically every trip is a road trip for them, but it felt, like a little more, I think teams were a little more locked in just because they were in this new arena. They're practicing. I'm sure you guys have been out there practicing in the HyperX Arena, practice rooms, which are a little different. You see the pyramid when you roll up. It just felt like that. And there was definitely a crowd of, you take it on the road, there's people who aren't usually there, whether they're, actually in the crowd or whether they're people in the business that are seeing this spectacle for the first time.
It's a new atmosphere, entirely new atmosphere.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the future of NBA 2K League. We only have about a minute left here with you, with another expansion team confirmed in the Hornets for the next year. What do you see as the future of the 2K League? Like, do you see a full 30-team league within a few years?
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I think, you look at the G League, very similar. There's still 2 teams that don't have G League teams. It's all a business side of the things for these NBA franchises. So you got the initial 17, 21. We'll see us keep inching closer to 30. The Hornets, like you said, are in. There's been some smoke about a few other teams. I can't really say which, but there's definitely an interest from a lot of teams that recognize what's going on. I think that, like we just talked about Vegas, it's recognizing that this league is gonna, and I said there'll be a 3rd location. Will there be a tournament this year? I'd say you got 3 locations this year. Maybe you go a few more next year, and I think it'll keep growing. Obviously, Overwatch League is something that you have to imagine that the league is looking at and seeing how can we get a localized form of everything going on. And when Philadelphia is building a 5,000 person arena and this city, each city's building something new. And I don't know if you guys have seen what Mark Cuban did with the Dallas Mavericks. Mavs Gaming is ready to go. They have already have basically a mini arena. These I'm not saying these are going to be home arenas, are going to be like that arena in Philly that's 5,000. I'm not saying that's where NBA 2K leagues are going to play, but you can create definitely home city sort of atmospheres and do do series and stuff along that line. So there's a reason that this league has started with keeping those teams localized and building a presence in the community.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Insider Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to call in and give us all the details on the digital court. See you around, buddy.
No problem. Tune in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights. Regular season starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time each night.
Aw, Jeffy.
All right, I do. Now that he's gone and he can't say anything about us, I'm going to get my opinion out there. So going back to the beginning of our conversation with him, obviously we brought up that altercation that happened.
Yes.
There's a bit of a
little tiff.
huff and tough going on between some of the players there.
I like how you say it as if like you would be tougher in that scenario. You would not.
Oh no, I didn't. What? I never once said that. I'm just saying. Okay. I kind of think that's good. I mean, a lot of people may not even known that this esports going on. This is the way that the NBA is approaching this is a little different than other esports, but it's not. It doesn't have as much traction as obviously the bigger esports, the tier ones and that like CS:GO and stuff. But I think that stuff can help it. I mean, the reason that we see a lot of Gears clips is because of all the trash talk and stuff, and then people get into it and they love it. And you see this clip making its way around the internet about 2 players kind of getting up each other's faces. That happens, in real sports. And it's like, where is the field? We talked about on the field, have at her, but then outside the field, let everything go. they're still in the stadium. Is that not the field still? I feel like that should still be a part of the field. That is the broadcast.
Sure.
You should still be popping off that point. You got an issue? Get up in each other's faces. And I feel like that actually could help those leagues, you know?
Great, yeah, but I mean, there was pushing and shoving there, and that's when the line gets stepped over, right? Like, it's one thing to exchange words, it's one thing to have, you know, some salt put on your opponent there, because that's a lot of fun. You and I do it all the time in Unmuted, and that's what makes it. Shut up. You're supposed to be professionals in esports in 30. No, but then once you get physical, that's when it no longer is okay. In my opinion, it's no longer okay. And then, like, we compare it to Gears of War, and we compare it to FGC, but these are scenes that have remained steady with their viewership. They haven't really climbed in a few years here. So with that being said, maybe this isn't actually helping their esport. Maybe a more mature stance, maybe keeping it out of it might actually be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there could be deeper problems there when it comes to the actual games. Like, people just don't want to watch Gears of War. That could be a situation. But it's like,
fun to watch.
So at that point, you got to do something. You know, what do you think the NBA is ever going to get to a point where they're like, hey, you know, this isn't gaining as much traction as we thought it would, to start doing some of that stuff, like, you know, allow a little bit of more rowdiness and trash talk to happen, and be kind of that, you know, grassroots, like, you know, street ball kind of thing. You know, you're out in the streets and just like, you know, just giving her, who cares out there, right?
Just giving her,
just giving her, just sending it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if we're comparing this to the actual NBA, so comparing this esport to actual sports, the NBA has a lot of drama within it too. But that stuff happens like on Twitter later. That stuff happens. Sure, you get a little rowdy on the court too, because it's exciting to watch. We love seeing that drama. So there's good and bad to this whole scenario. I just don't like the shoving.
But he was even saying, you know, that Twitter is actually where it shouldn't go to.
Oh no, it definitely should go to Twitter.
No, you love that.
I love it.
That's off the court now, though. That is actually off the court and away from it. I think if it's going to happen, it's got to be on the court, man. But not like tweeting at each other on the court. Actually saying stuff to each other in court. I want it. I just got to say.
Keep it there. Tease a little bit on Twitter to get us to come in and watch the game later on the exact same times that Jeff promoted.
To see them fight.
Yeah, to see them fight. I mean, why not? Hey, Brody, a pleasure chatting some NBA2K League with you today, buddy. Just like that, we are out of time. But thank you to NBA2K insider Jeff Eisenband for calling in, and thank you at home for watching. Next week, Ron and AJ are back to preview Stage 3 of the Overwatch League, and of course, we have 3 more awesome shows for you this week. Till then, we'll see you next time.
Ooh, the NBA 2K League is always full of spicy action, but it's nice to hear how it's going so far. Thank you so much, Jeff Eisenband, for calling in, and them for, I guess, getting us caught up too. Now, shout outs to Red Bull for fueling us in the green room, in which we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time playing more games, and then back at 8 p.m. with another Unmuted, and in Esports in 30, we're talking about Combo Breaker, so you don't want to miss that one. Until then, you can catch us on all our socials at Squad State. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.